Hello everyone, today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial on how to play Roblox Rise of Nations. It is a difficult game, however, once you learn how to play it, you will love it. So, first things first, once you get into the game, after you've launched Roblox and opened up Rise of Nations, you'll see this screen. So what you're going to want to do is, you can see all of these are old servers, however, what you're going to want to click is create new server. And then we'll have to wait for a little while, but once it gets to 20 people, we'll get put in a game, and then we'll get to pick our country. Okay, now that we've loaded in, it's time to pick our country. As you can see, you have the whole world to choose from. The United States, China, Brazil, Russia. However, those are big countries, and we're not going to get into those today. Or you could also choose a European country. However, these are highly hard to play as, due to the fact that you're in close proximity to a lot of other players. So we're going to be going with a simple country today. So we'll probably go with South Africa. South Africa, because they have a lot of resources and we're isolated from the world. Okay, so we've made it in as our country now. Now it's time for us to get started on our technology. So if you press S on your keyboard or WASD, any of those keys should open up your menu. As you can see right here, we have country, diplomacy, economy, technology, and military. What you're going to want to click on is technology. This will be what we start our game with. And you're going to want to click on economic. And as you can see, I've already bought a couple things, but this is your research points. And the more you get, the more things you can upgrade. Like I'm upgrading our tax collection, which is, in my opinion, the best thing to research because it gets you more money. So you can upgrade all of these three at the very beginning of the game. And so, as you can see right here, we have more money than we would regularly start out with because we upgraded our tax collection. And so, now we can move on to even more parts of the game. So, next thing I'm going to explain to you is the country area. So, as you can see, we have our formables here, which you can form into different countries. So, we have Unite Africa, which we would have to capture all of Africa for. Or, we also have Reestablish the Union, which I believe forms the South African Union. So, that's probably what we'll focus on for today, is reuniting it. And we can take over that pretty easily by taking over a couple of these countries. And other stuff in the country section is you have ideologies, which is basically how you want your country to be run. So liberalism and democracy are great for money, however, are horrible for wars. So if you want to do a war, then I wouldn't suggest going for these. But if you're a country like the US, go for it. Socialism and communism is like China, kind of. They start out with socialism as their ideology. However, this is good for wars, however, is bad for tax collection. And then you have what we might go for, or we'll probably either go for socialism or nationalism today, because nationalism is the best option if you want to go for something really simple in the beginning, because as you can see, it helps with everything. It doesn't have any downsides. However, if you do choose it, I wouldn't suggest going all the way to fascism. And as you can see down here, we have a couple of pop-ups already. So Iran wants to become our ally. However, you can see they're all the way up here. And so there's not really any point for us being their ally. So we're going to reject that. And the next thing in the country section is you have policies. These are different types of things that can improve your country. However, they cost political points, which come in at a certain rate, and there's not much you can do to improve it. So as you can see, we have things like advance the research bureau, which is actually a pretty good policy. It'll up your research output plus 34%. And then we've also got some anti-corruption act down here, which takes away a lot of your money, but it helps you get more stability, which I'm about to get to. So down here is our stability. It is how stable your country currently is. So we have a 50% stability rate, which is okay for the start of the game, but we're going to want to get that up eventually. This is our war exhaustion. You don't have to worry about that too much unless you're in a lot of wars. Basically makes your stability go down. These are political points. So those are how you get policies and also ideologies. And then modifiers. So if we choose something down here, like if something goes wrong in our country or something good happens, then it'll be in this section. Then the rankings, these are just the basic rankings of the game, and you can see all the different country rankings. As you can see, we're number 6 or 16 right now, with the US and China and India in first place, second place, and third place. They always start like that at the beginning of the game, so we'll see how that changes. And so next thing we're going to want to move on to is resources and trade. So we're going to want to get some motor parts straight off, and we can buy these from Vietnam. As you can see, they have a white name, which means that they're not an AI, that they're an AI country. However, if their name is yellow, they're a player. So we can easily get these from them because AIs always accept your trade as long as you're not going crazy with them. And then we're also going to want to get some steel. These are for tanks, ships, and other army vehicles and other things like that. So we'll buy those from Vietnam again. So that way we can get those, start stocking up. Okay, so now we pretty much have our early game set up. We're going to wait for this to go up a bit more, so that way we can get an ideology, but we'll get to that in a bit. So next thing we want to move on to is the military and military strategy. Okay, so for military strategy, let's start out with this simple country. First things first, we have to justify war against them. So to justify war, I would click on one of their cities, click on the flag of the country, and then justify war is right here. So I'll explain to you what these all three are. So conquest would be us going in with our troops and taking over all their land. Subjection, so we'll if we did that one, we'd take over all their land, and then we would basically they'd be our puppets, so they'd pay us money every now and then. And then liberation, this would like free all the countries that were inside of them. So if we were, let's say we did liberation against the United Kingdom, we would release Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland if we won that. So, but we're not going to do either one of those. We're going to do conquest due to the fact then we can conquer this land. So you're going to want to justify war, click on conquest, and that'll take 75 in-game days to justify. So you're going to want to justify, and then we'll have to wait for that. However, now we need to make an army. So to make an army, you start with some troops, some simple troops. They're your home guard. So you spawn in with those to protect your country. And then you can use those to attack, but I wouldn't recommend that. As you can see down here, we have manpower. This is how many troops we can make. So if you click on a city and go to units, you can make as many troops as you want. So we're going to make 8 right now, which will give us 80k. So once those start making, we'll get them, and then they can take over the country. And we're also going to, since we have even more manpower, we're also going to make some down here. So then those both can take over the country when we're ready. And our quick little detail, as you can see, this is their ranking. So Home Guard always starts out with a silver star. And then when you first make troops, as long as you have the default military settings, which we currently do, it'll always spawn in with a bronze medal. And then you can also improve that, if you would wish, by training your troops. Another thing you can do when training your troops is right click on it, and you can do arid specialization, jungle specialization, or winter specialization. So example of this would be if we wanted to take over Russia. As you can see, they have a lot of cold land if you click on this terrain button. So this would be really hard to take over. But if we had the winter specialization, we would easily be able to take that over. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go to war now. So after our troops finish getting made, we are going to declare war on them. But just a couple more things. So how you maneuver your troops, you can send them with this arrow to wherever you want. Always send them to a city usually. And you can also split your troops in half. So we have 70k right now, so we'd get 35k, 2 sets. You can do auto merge. So once 2 troops, if I sent these 2 at each other, they would combine. But if I turn that off, they won't combine. And then you also have your assign group option, which is something a little bit more detailed we'll get into later. Reinforcements, which basically means if they get hurt and you stop them and they're shoveled in like this, then you can, if it's on, they will start recharging basically and get more, take out your manpower and bring more men in. But if it's off, they won't do that. And there's also auto capture. You can recapture your cities if someone's taken them. You can capture anything as long as you're at war, but I'll show you that in a minute. And then also we have the troop experience. So this is their current ranking that they're at. And then that would be like the silver, and that would be a gold ranking, and that would be a special ranking that's like really good. It basically has a skull on it, and it can take out a whole army basically. So, but that takes a lot of work to get. Okay, we have a pop-up down here now. So it's hire a new researcher. This will get us more research power, so we're going to go ahead and do that. It will cost us quite a bit of money, but it's worth it. Okay, now that we've done all that, we can justify war on this country. We're going to want to click on them, and then see there'll be a little declare war section right here on the top. You're going to want to click on that, and since we have conquest justified, we'll do that, and we will send in our troops. Never send your troops straight at these, because as you can see, they are entrenched with the little shovel. So what we're going to do is we're going to take over a city, and since this country's AI, they're just going to automatically send their troops to us. And they're going to want to attack. And then we're also going to get our other division of troops and send them into here. And as you can see, they've left the city now, and they're going to come and attack us, but we'll be able to take them out since we have more troops and we are settled up in a city. And so after we take out these troops, which we can do in a second. All right, they're taken out. So now this country has no defenses. So we're going to go to auto capture by clicking on the troops. Captured, and then you're just going to want to click auto capture in the name of the country, which will be below capture all. And so we're going to let them do their thing by capturing this whole place. And really quick, we're going to set one of these to auto merge off, so that way they don't combine with each other and we can keep two separate groups. And in the meantime, also, we're going to go ahead and go to war with another country. So we're going to go here, make 8 sets of troops again. And then we're going to justify on them. Okay. And they've almost taken out the whole city, so we're getting ready to go to the peace treaty. Okay, so that country has collapsed, indicated by the pop-up you can see. You can also tell if it's collapsed if it's red right here in the peace treaty, which you get to there by just clicking on the country flag, which means you're at war. And then this is where we can negotiate our peace terms. So if we wanted to give up all of the land we've already captured and just nothing, act like the war had never happened, then we'd do white peace. But since we've defeated the country, we're going to want their cities, so we're going to select annex cities. Then we're going to seize their treasury, which will do that to the max since we've defeated them. Then we'll also seize their state resources, which we'll get some of their resources. So we'll select that too. And then war reparations, we definitely want that because they will pay us over time for all the stuff we've lost in the war. So we basically are getting everything we can get. But if you're doing a subjection war, you could make them your puppet state, enforce your ideology, which would basically make them whatever you want: communism, a communist, democracy, fascist, whatever you are. And then also you can liberate their countries if you did liberation. But we're going to go ahead and send them the terms like this, and they should accept it because we defeated them. Yep. So as you can see, we got their oil, diamond, gold, and uranium. Then we also got their money. Okay. And so the next country we're going to take over is right here. We are going to declare war in a second after we've justified. All right, there we go. So we're going to want to declare war. This one's going to be a bit different since we the cities are in a smaller radius, so we're going to get these troops in with these ones, and we're just going to send them right at them since we have a high amount. Even though you shouldn't ever do that unless it's like this, because we won't be able to get settled into that city at all. So we're still going to go here, but they're going to attack us straight away. But we're also going to hopefully be able to take out them. Yep, we've got this. Okay. So then you're going to want to click auto capture, and the same thing as we did for the other country. And so we'll just wait for them to take that. And in the meantime, we're going to want to go over here and check on our technology. So as you can see, our technology, we've been improving. So we can get tax collection 3, which we're going to do. And then next time we can get tax collection 4, hopefully, which will increase our tax income by 50%. But next thing we're going to do is we're going to check on our political power, which is doing really well. So we have enough to get an ideology. So usually I would suggest going with nationalism. However, we're going to go with socialism today because we want to form something and turn our country into something bigger. And next up, our troops have finished the war, so we're going to go in, do the same thing as last time, and your things should still be there. And so we'll make peace, and we got all that. Okay, so now, time to find what we want to form. You don't always have to form something. Sometimes you just want to fight other players, which up here in Europe, you can see some examples. This used to be Spain, however, France took it over, which you can fight against other players. So if France wanted to go to war for Germany, they could. However, there'd be a lot more defense Germany would provide because they're an actual player. So they would probably have a really good chance of beating France. But we're not going to worry about that for now. That will be a separate video coming soon. We will tackle Europe by fighting other players and trying to actually defend ourselves better. But usually in Africa, there's not too many people playing unless they're playing the country we are. So we're going to go ahead and we want to form something. So it's time to form. Okay, so it's time to form. So we're going to form the South African Union instead of uniting Africa, because that's going to take us forever, and we're going to have to take over every single country in Africa, which is very difficult. So we're going to send over our troops right here to this right over here to attack them, because we need them to form. And then we're going to justify on them, which I have already done, so that way we can get straight into it. But you know how to justify now, so you go here and you can select the one you want, and we're going to do conquest for today. And so we're going to go ahead and declare on them, and we're going to set up our troops because they're not going to attack us yet. Okay, now that our troops are here, I'm going to show you a military strategy of blitzkrieg, which we're going to do on this country now that we've already declared war. So we're going to split them even more, as I've already done with a couple, but we're just going to keep on splitting them to the max. So this one's split up max. So the lowest you can go is 10k per army. So now we're going to send in them an attack. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag with your mouse over them, and you're going to want to do auto capture. And then you're going to want to select the country you want to attack, and you'll do that, and they should all spread out, as you can see. There's a bunch of little troops that are going to run about and go ahead and capture all those cities for us. However, we will have to take out some of their army, so we're going to go ahead and select these ones right here. We're going to send them up to here, and that should hopefully meet up with them. But this is a really fast strategy for taking over large countries. But if you're taking over small countries like these ones that we just did, don't do this because it's really a waste. This is also a good strategy against countries like Russia, who has a lot of land and a lot of cities, which you cannot capture with just one small army. You need a lot of troops. And Now all of our army has encountered theirs, and it's going to hopefully just take it all out because we have more troops. And these troops are going to hopefully head to the capital and attack them. And we've already captured almost half their country already, so we're going to move on already, and we're going to attack this country right here. We're going to justify on them, and we're going to do conquest again. But this time we're going to do something a bit different. What you're going to want to do is hold down Shift and Alt, and you're going to want to hover over these countries and drag with your mouse, and this is going to select them. So you have 9 cities selected, and we're just going to want to click on units, and we're going to want to make a bunch of troops. So now we're out of manpower, but that's good. We can, because now we're going to have a bunch of troops to take over the country with, and we're going to do another blitzkrieg attack on them. However, we might send them all in as a group to this city just to take out that army, and then we will do a full-on blitzkrieg. And once you get that little message on your screen, sometimes that also means it's taken over the capital, which it has of this country, indicated by the little star. And so we're almost done capturing it, but this city might be a little bit harder to capture since it's farther out, but I think our troops have got it. And we've got a little pop-up message down here, so we're going to want to read this and figure out what's going on. So you don't really need to bother reading this, but so these are what's going to happen if we don't do anything about it and all that. So if we do this, it has a chance that our country will get corrupt and stuff, and then we're going to get a worse demonifier. So if we'd accept their demands, it's going to hurt us a lot. But what we're going to do is we're going to refuse the demands. That's only going to last for a year. It's going to make it hard on us, but not too hard. And we're going to go ahead and check on our technology real quick. Okay, we're getting close to being able to get our next upgrade, but not quite, which we might skip over for now because I want to show you a couple other upgrades. So you have aerial right here, which will upgrade your air support and air attack. Then you have research, which basically makes your research power go up even more. Or political down here too. This gets your political power up faster. Support, I haven't got too much into this yet. However, this supports your military, I believe. Next is naval. This upgrades your ships once we get them. In fact, we're going to make a couple ships just for an example down here. A cheap and easy ship, which just is to attack infantry, is the frigate, which is down here. So we're going to make one of those, and it's going to spawn in, and I'll show you that in a second. But we're going to go back to technology, and we're going to check out tank now. These are tank improvements, so if we wanted to make some tanks, we could, and then that would upgrade all of this for them. But what we're going to do is infantry. We're going to upgrade their weapons for now, and just get them some good weapons, because we're mostly only using infantry for now. Once we get to Europe, that's when we might try using tanks more. But right now, it's best to just use these. It looks like our troops are done, so what we're going to do is we're going to go hover over it, and we're going to turn off the auto merge, and then we're going to declare war on the next country, which is right here. We're going to, we've already justified, but we're going to declare. Okay, now we're at war, and we are going to send in the troops right down here to this city. They won't merge together, but they also won't be completely spread apart. So we can finally make peace with this country since our troops have captured it. So we're going to get our same old peace treaty going, and we're going to get all those resources. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the frigate. So this basically provides us with a little bit of land support and a little bit of water support. So if you park it up close by land, it will attack any troops that's in this radius. But you can also put it out into the sea, and it will stop any other ships or troop carriers that are coming by. If it's infantry troop carriers, it will easily take them out. But if it's another ship, you are going to have a rough time. But for now, we're going to use a simple function in the game, which is disbanding the troop. So we're going to disband it because we're oil deficient right now, which that burns oil, and we don't have a lot of it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish taking over these countries by using Blitzkrieg. So we're going to go ahead and take them over. And I'm going to take over one more country so that way we can form. And I'll be back. Alrighty, so we just now finished our war with Zimbabwe. So now we can go to our formables again in our countries section, and we should be able to form the South African Union, which we can. And also a really quick important thing I want to point out is you can click on the map here and you can see all the cities you might need to capture, but we've already captured all of them, so we're good. But before we also form it, there is another option on it that it asks you if you're at peace, and if you are, as long as you have no wars currently going, you can form it, which we don't. So we're going to go ahead and form it and get some stability too. So now we're the South African Union, which is great, and we have a lot of money. So we're going to move on to the next stage of the game, which is late game and developing. Okay, so now we've made it into the late game. There are a lot less people in the game. A lot of them have died out, kind of. The countries are getting bigger. Russia's big, Germany's big, France is huge. So we're gonna go ahead and start developing our country for more money. So you're gonna want to click Shift and Alt again over the whole country. So then we can, once we get it over, we're going to want to go to buildings, which is something I haven't got into much yet, but we're going to want to click develop city, which this will cost us quite a bit, but it's going to start developing the cities. We're also, just for a quick example of some buildings, we're going to go to buildings again for this city right here, which you often would like to put factories by the capital or in the middle of the country. And we're going to go ahead and scroll down a little, and there's a bunch of factories we can build. So we're going to go ahead and build a steel factory, which hopefully will be able to produce the steel, because we need titanium, and we also need iron. But I think we have most of those, but we're going to go to economy really quick and check. So we're going to want to go to resources/trade, as we did in the early game, to buy our stuff. So we're going to go ahead and go to titanium. See, so we have none currently, so we're going to go ahead and hopefully buy a little. We can buy some from this country because they're AI and they're not going to decline our trade, or maybe accept it. Sometimes they accept it, but not always. So we got that. Now we got to check on our iron, which we have plenty of iron, but if you needed to, you can always buy it from any of the countries. And then next, something else I want to show you is sometimes countries might propose a trade deal down here. They might want, like, our country produces a lot of diamonds, so maybe they want diamond. So they will send a trade offer down here, which will be signified by their flag and a couple arrows. And they'll offer you money for resources, which I would suggest accepting if you have a lot of those resources, because it gets you a little more income. But you don't have to if you want to save your resources. So next thing we're going to focus on probably is factions. I'm going to go ahead and explain those to you. Currently we don't have any factions or allies, but there's not any in the game. So let's say you want to create a new faction. You could by clicking on this, and you can choose your name now, but we're not going to because I wouldn't suggest making a faction because they're not really useful. If if there's a big one in like Europe, then I would suggest joining it. But if there's not, then don't bother with them because you'll get pulled into wars you don't want to be in and you won't be able to get out of them. And really quick, we're going to look at what Germany sent us. They want us to be their puppet, which is kind of a troll thing people do now, which we're going to reject that because that'll basically mean them controlling us, and we don't want that. And we're going to, next, we're going to go ahead and look at our technology again, and we've got a lot of technology points, so we're going to go ahead and get another upgrade, which will improve our infantry again. And so next, so our diplomacy, this just shows like your recent activity, like our truces. So truces are what they say they are. You basically can't attack that country again for however long your truce is, which we've already defeated them, so it doesn't matter. And our stability has actually gone up a little bit, so that's good. And we're gonna go ahead and check on the rankings. So China's in first, India is in second, and the US is in third, which is usually not surprising, but we're going to go ahead and look at our ranking. So we've also gotten up in rankings. In fact, we're ahead of Russia, so that's pretty big for us. And so we're doing pretty well on the economic front because if you go to your economy, we are making 3 million currently, or 3 billion. You can make, or 3 million, yeah. So basically you get this whenever every couple of days you'll get this in add to your account, which down here. So you can also see over here on the side, this is how much we're spending. So we're buying stuff from trade, so that's costing us not too much, but a little bit. And then we're also spending money on reinforcements and military upkeep, which is basically just keeping our troops together. And then we don't really have any other costs we're spending right now, but our income, we're getting quite a bit of, most of our money we're getting from tax, but we're also getting some money from resources. And then we are also, really quick, we're also going to go ahead and look at our formables again. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and go and capture more African countries and form the African Union, but we're not going to do that because that's really hard, as I said. Another quick little thing I'm going to explain is down here is our conscription laws. That basically is how many people in your country has to go into the military. You want to always keep it on volunteer unless you really need more manpower, which you can go into limited, extensive, or required, which there's also disarmed, which is worthless kind of. It helps your tax, but it basically makes it so no one can be in your army. And for the volunteer, it makes it so only people who want to will be in your army, which is really good for your stability. And limited, sometimes you will have to pull people who don't want to be into your army, but it won't be too horrible for you, but it brings down a lot of your stuff. And extensive and required, I would never go up into those because then your country's basically already falling apart. So, yeah. And so, next thing we're going to move on to is just finishing up looking at our section down here. The resource map, this can show you where resources are in the world. Like, so if we wanted some copper, we can find copper around the world. So there's a lot by us, and then there's also some up here and all in Russia. So you can get copper from there, and you can look, let's say we wanted to look for tungsten. We have some tungsten down here. And then another really quick thing with the resources, if we needed more tungsten, we could go to here and click on buildings again and scroll all the way down, and there's a mine. And we can go ahead and work on making a mine. And that'll start building that, and that will double our resource output down there. We've got another pop-up, which for this one, we're just going to go ahead and click our best option, which is probably this one. We're going to lose some stability, but we can afford that. Oh, it disappeared, but sometimes if that happens, it just picks one for you. But now our factory is also finished, so now we're making our own steel, So our steel output is high. And another quick thing, these airport symbols right here, these plane symbols, those are airports, and you can make planes later on in the game by going to your economy resources, and you can buy aircraft parts or make them by doing the same thing we did for the steel factory, but there's an aircraft factory. And then you can build planes in these cities, which you can build fighters, which basically attack other planes, bombers, which drop bombs on cities and troops, and attackers, which just attack troops. But then also with the ships, any city that has an anchor above it means you can build a ship there. So we built a frigate earlier, or you can build a destroyer, which is good against submarines, a battleship, which is good at attacking land and also attacking basically any ship there is. Then there's also the aircraft carrier, which can carry aircraft that I mentioned before. And then also a submarine, which is hidden from other players and is really good against battleships, but is horrible against destroyers. Destroyers will completely wreck them. And every single time you start a new game, you'll start out with a airport in your capital city. And you'll also get airports more when you conquer other countries and their capital cities. But you can also build some. So let's say I wanted to build one right down here in this town. So we can go to our buildings again and build an airport. And then we can also, if we want to, let's say that Madagascar was attacking us and they were sending in troops right down here, and we needed to build defenses in this city. We could go to buildings again and fortifications and fortify the city, which will just make it harder for them to take over and harder for them to kill the troops that are inside. Okay, so that's basically it for this video. We've captured countries. I've showed you how to run your economy. Now you know the basics, and in my next couple videos, I'll show you how to run a European country and run big countries like Russia, and also explain a little bit more about XP, which I have a lot of XP because I play this game all the time, but I'll explain that to you and show you how XP helps you in the future. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you know how to play Rise of Nations a little bit better now. Thank you for watching. See you next time.